Imagine being in the middle of the biggest music festival on the planet. 100,000 people packed into a desert field under a sky lit up like something straight out of a movie nobody could have written. The bass hitting your chest so hard you feel it somewhere deep in your bones. The kind of vibration that does not just touch your ears, but rattles something inside you that you did not even know was there. And then, out of nowhere, with zero warning and zero announcement, two of the biggest names in the entire music industry just happen to lock eyes across that crowd, dap each other up and stand side by side watching the same show like they're just two regular dudes from the block who linked up after not seeing each other for a while. No cameras invited, no publicists standing nearby whispering into an earpiece about optics. Welcome to Pop's Showroom, where we bring you the stories behind the headlines. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because this story goes deeper than anything you've seen in the mainstream media. No carefully timed reveal, just two titans of the music world, out in the open, in the crowd, being human. And that right there is what made the whole thing hit the way it did. Because in a world where everything feels staged and calculated and designed for maximum engagement, something genuinely unplanned landing in front of 100,000 people and getting captured on a shaky phone screen carries a weight that no marketing budget in the world can replicate. That is exactly what happened at Coachella, and nobody was ready for it. Nobody was prepared for the image of Bunny and The Weeknd occupying the same space at the same time, both out there in the crowd, both there for the same reason, both there to watch Rosalia do exactly what she was born to do. And the whole thing felt so cinematic and so unscripted and so genuinely electric that people are still talking about it like it was a scene from a film that no director could have planned. Because you cannot plan something like that. You cannot manufacture that kind of energy. It either happens or it does not. And on this night, it happened, and the world caught it. The clip moved fast, faster than most things move, because people recognized immediately that what they were watching was not content, it was a moment. And there is a very real and very important difference between those two things, even if the culture sometimes forgets it. Let us set the scene properly, because this moment deserves more than a caption and a quick reaction. Coachella is not just a festival. Do not make the mistake of reducing it to that. Coachella is a cultural event, a statement, a place where the music world's elite show up not just to perform, but to be seen, to connect, to remind each other and remind the world just how small the top really is when you're actually standing on it. Think about what it takes just to be there: the logistics, the planning, the heat, the crowds, the travel. Regular people save up for months just to be in that desert for a weekend. And the artists who show up, whether they're performing or just attending, they're choosing to be in that specific energy, choosing to be present in that specific cultural moment. And that choice means something. The desert heat pressing down on everyone equally, the neon lights cutting through the dark, the crowd energy that builds and builds until you can't tell where the music ends and the people begin. Everything about that environment has a way of turning ordinary moments into legendary ones. It strips away the armor. It makes people real. And on this particular night, the stage belonged to Rosalia, a woman who has consistently and relentlessly proven that she exists in a category entirely her own, built by no one else, and belonging to no genre, no label, no neat little box that the industry likes to put artists in so they're easier to sell and easier to explain and easier to dismiss when the moment passes. She's not just a Spanish artist who crossed over into the mainstream and got lucky. She is a global force, a genre-bending, boundary-destroying performer who pulls influence from flamenco, from reggaeton, from electronic music, from pop, from the streets of Barcelona and the studios of Los Angeles, and somehow, every single time, makes all of it feel like one seamless, hypnotic, completely original experience. When Rosalia performs, you don't casually look away, you don't check your phone, you don't step back for a drink. You stay exactly where you are because some part of your brain recognizes that what is happening in front of you is rare, and rare things do not come back once they pass. Even the biggest stars in the world stop what they are doing and pay attention, and that is not an exaggeration because this night proved it in real time with receipts. Bunny was already there, the most streamed artist on Spotify for 3 consecutive years, a record that barely makes sense when you stop and think about what it actually means in a world of 8 billion people and infinite playlists and algorithms designed to fracture attention into smaller and smaller pieces. The man who turned Latin trap and reggaeton into a global language so powerful that it crossed every cultural and linguistic barrier without apologizing, without softening, without translating itself into something more palatable for markets that had never paid attention before. He didn't come to them, they came to him. The Puerto Rican icon who sold out stadiums across every corner of the world, who walked out on stages in front of crowds that didn't all speak his language, but felt every single word anyway, who made his people proud in a way that goes beyond music and into something more like identity, more like dignity, more like proof. He was standing in that crowd at Coachella, watching Rosalia perform, not in some roped-off section away from regular people, but out there in the mix, probably feeling that same pull that everyone else in that field was feeling, that undeniable sense that something special was happening in front of them, and the only right response was to be still and witness it. And then, the moment happened. The Weeknd appeared. The Canadian R&B legend, the man behind some of the most haunting and emotionally devastating music of the last decade, the voice that delivered Blinding Lights and Save Your Tears, and a catalog that has touched nearly every corner of the world in ways that most artists only dream about. Think about the range of that catalog for a second. From the dark and twisted early mixtapes that felt like they were recorded in a room where the lights had been off for days, to the stadium pop anthems that played at every party and every road trip, in every moment that needed a soundtrack in the past 5 years. The Weeknd has never been one thing, and has never let the industry make him one thing, which is exactly why his music has survived trend cycles that buried everyone else who peaked around the same time. He walked up, and the two of them greeted each other like people who genuinely respect each other, like people who had real history between them, like old friends who had not linked up in a minute, but the connection was still there, still warm, still solid, the kind of connection that does not need to perform itself for the camera because it is already real without an audience. And right there, in the middle of Rosalia's set, with the music still going and the crowd still losing their minds around them, someone caught it on camera and the clip started moving, and the internet did what the internet does. Now here is where it gets interesting, because a moment like this is never just a greeting, it is a collision of worlds. And if you understand what these three artists represent, you understand why this collision means something beyond the surface level excitement of seeing famous people in the same place at the same time. Bad Bunny represents the Latin music takeover, a cultural shift that has been building quietly for years and has now arrived with full force and full volume, a moment where Spanish-language music is no longer a niche category sitting at the side table of the global industry, but a dominant force sitting at the head of it, setting the agenda, moving the numbers, filling the stadiums, and doing all of it on its own terms. The Weeknd represents the evolution of R&B and pop into something darker, more cinematic, more emotionally honest, a sound that blended genres long before blending genres became the standard move for every artist trying to break through. He was genre fluid before the industry even had language for it. And Rosalia, the one they were both out there to watch, represents something even harder to define because she represents the future of music itself. The version of it where there are no more categories, no more walls, no more languages or borders or cultural territories that separate what belongs where and who gets to be in which lane. Three artists, three completely different corners of the music world, all converging in one desert field at one moment in time, all there for the same reason. That is not a coincidence. That is culture moving in real time, and moments like that do not come around often enough to take lightly when they do. What made the moment land even harder was the setting they were in when it happened. They were not at some exclusive industry party tucked away behind velvet ropes and security teams, where these kinds of connections happen all the time in controlled environments that the public never gets to see. They were not in a backstage green room eating catered food and doing the polite industry small talk that fills those spaces. They were out there in the actual crowd, in the festival space itself, standing in the same field as people who had saved up for their tickets, who had driven hours or caught flights to be in the middle of that California desert, who were standing close enough to feel the same bass in their chests and smell the same desert air and look up at the same sky. And those regular people had absolutely no idea what was unfolding just a few feet away from them. That is the detail that makes this feel different from every other celebrity sighting that goes viral for 48 hours and fades into nothing. That is the detail that feels human. Because for all the fame and all the money and all the layers of separation that stardom builds between artists and the people who love their music, this was a moment where all of that distance collapsed into something completely simple. Two people standing in a crowd, watching a show, being fans. Not superstars performing their superstar status to the room, not artists calculating how this looks for their brand. Just two people who love music, standing in a field, watching someone they genuinely admire do something extraordinary. And there is something almost sacred about that. But do not mistake that simplicity for low-key, because the internet was absolutely not going to allow this to stay quiet. The second that clip started circulating, the reactions came in fast and they came in loud. And it was not just excitement about the greeting itself, it was the excitement of possibility, the excitement of what the greeting could mean, what it might be pointing toward, what it could be quietly setting up for the world to find out later. Because in the music industry, when artists at this level are in the same space showing each other genuine love in public, the imagination of the culture goes absolutely wild, and it does not stop running until it has an answer or something bigger comes along to distract it. Fans started speculating immediately and with full commitment. Is a collaboration already done and sitting in a hard drive somewhere waiting for the right moment to drop? Have these three been in the studio together in some undisclosed location that nobody leaked? Because sometimes, somehow, some things stay secret until they're supposed to be known. Is something coming that is going to shake the industry all the way down to its foundation when it finally lands? Nobody had confirmation of anything, not a single piece of hard evidence, but the energy of the speculation was so strong and so sustained that it kept the conversation alive for days across every platform, in every comment section, on every podcast that touched music culture that week. And that energy was not irrational, it was completely justified, because the thought alone of Bad Bunny and The Weeknd on the same track, or better yet, both of them on something built around Rosalia, is the kind of thought that makes your brain short-circuit and your chest tighten with the specific anticipation of something that hasn't happened yet but feels inevitable. And Rosalia cannot be understated in any part of this story because she was the center of it from the very beginning. She was the reason they were both there. She was the one on that stage, the one making those two men stop and watch, the one commanding that 100,000 people with nothing but her voice and her presence and the music she has spent her entire life building toward, with a discipline that most people in the industry don't have and most people outside it cannot fully appreciate. This is a woman who started in Barcelona, who trained in classical flamenco with the kind of rigor and devotion that requires years of your life before you even get close to being good at it, who could have built a very comfortable and very respected career making music for a specific audience that already loved what she was doing and never pushed past that. But she pushed. She kept pushing when it would have been easier to stay comfortable. She experimented and took risks and collaborated with J Balvin, with Travis Scott, with Billie Eilish, with Ozuna, with artists from completely different worlds and completely different audiences. And every single time she came when the cameras are on and everyone in the room is quietly calculating how the interaction will read, it was natural and warm and real in the way that only genuine familiarity produces, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself because it is already visible in how two people move toward each other, already present in the ease of the moment, in the